A throw by Merton. It is a collision at the plate. And Pierzynski not only bangs into Barrett, bangs onto the plate, and here they go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Crosstown Baseball Podcast. He is Matt Cannon, and I am Kevin Sullivan. And thank you for joining us this week. We will start off this week with our usual format. We will start off with the Cubs. Unfortunately, not a fantastic week here for the Cubs.
Did we break you, Kevin?
I think the White Sox may have broken the Cubs because now the Cubs can't seem to win a game for anything. As of this recording, they have now lost 8 games in a row. They have fallen from first place to third place in the NL Central, and they're just like a little bit above 500 at the
I remember
moment.
I asked you, a couple weeks ago if the Cubs peaked too early because they have now had 2 separate 10-game win streaks.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to be the same team at all right now.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. I think this team can be really good, but I feel like they're like one of those teams that like they are their own worst enemy. They like I don't know. They have so much talent, but yet you have guys like PCA who has all this talent and then just like makes boneheaded decisions sometimes and just like acts immaturely, you know.
I want to ask about the because we didn't really talk about it last week because
Yeah.
it was kind of like very fresh, and I don't think it had been like really reported that much till the next day. But what's your
Uh,
take about PCA's interaction with the fan last week?
yeah, it's not good. I don't think that kind of language is necessary. No, fans are gonna shout things at you, and obviously there's a limit on their side too. But you just got to keep your cool. You're in an opposing ballpark in your own city. Like, these fans are going to throw everything at you. And I do think it shows a bit of immaturity on his part. I don't think you would see like an older player respond in the same fashion.
I think there's
And
different
yeah,
ways to respond for sure.
hmm
Like, I don't mind that he responded because I think sometimes
hmm
it's like okay to remind fans that they're talking to human beings.
right.
At the same time, yeah, I just don't think what he said it was clearly like from like a point of anger as opposed to
Yeah,
like wanting to clap back at her. You know what I mean?
right. No, I agree. I think it was just his frustration kind of boiling over a little bit. And I think he didn't think about what he was saying and the fact that it was going to be recorded and posted on the internet for like everybody to see. Unfortunately, that's the world we live in. You have to, if you're in a public arena, you have to be prepared for that at all times. And I don't think it reflects well on him. I don't think it's a huge deal by any means. I think they fined him and like I think that's good enough. I don't think this was like suspension worthy. Yeah, I think he had a lapse in judgment and he maybe shouldn't have said what he said. But I don't think it was anything that requires like a suspension or anything more than that
Yeah,
in
just
this
like
case.
I don't know. It's just a fun little nugget in Cubs White Sox rivalry again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it probably would not have been blown up quite as much if it was against any other team besides the White Sox. You know what I mean?
It wouldn't have been blown up if it wasn't recorded
Well, that
also.
too. Yeah.
Like that's the thing is like, but I mean, come on. Like how many guys have said things to fans or vice versa that like it wouldn't have been a big deal if we didn't know about it, right? If it wasn't recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Players interacting with fans is always like kind of like, yeah, it's kind of fun. Like,
Hmm.
who was it? Was it Prince Fielder? Didn't he like dive into the stands and like stole a nacho from somebody?
Yeah,
That one,
probably. That sounds like something Prince Fielder would do.
yeah, I think that one was my favorite. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, I wanted to get your reaction on that. But like, clearly, I don't know, something broke in the Cubs that day because yeah,
So,
they have
yeah.
looked really bad. And of course, like, you know, the Brewers are a good team, so
Hmm.
there's no shame in losing to them. The Astros aren't a great team right now.
No, they're not.
The Astros, the Cubs made them look pretty good this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, the Cubs have lost, so two to the White Sox, three to the Brewers, and three to the Astros. Losing to the Brewers is an excuse. Getting swept by the Brewers is inexcusable, in my opinion. You can't get if you're trying to win a division, you have to beat them because they are probably your biggest opposition within the
Yes.
NL Central. Um, the Astros suck this year. I don't understand how they got swept by them. You
At
know,
Wrigley too. Like that's
it it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder how how long of a leash does Craig Counsell have?
which I it's crazy that you even ask that. But like you have
I can't even as I say it, I can't believe I'm asking it. But like the cup, he was billed to us as this is the best manager currently in the game of baseball. Oh, wouldn't you agree? I would
yeah.
say
And then Pat Murphy just continues to outmanage him at every turn.
right, right. And it's like, is Craig Counsell really that good of a manager, or did the Brewers front office just make him look like he was a really good
And
manager?
what's crazy to me, and I think I've said this before, like it's a different Brewers front office. The Brewers have
Yeah,
now been successful like with under David Stearns, and then after David Stearns left for the Mets.
right. I
So
know.
like
I don't know how they keep doing it.
Brewers have some like dark magic around
They
them.
really they must.
Got to
They
be the
must.
cheese. I don't know what
It's got
else.
to be it's got to be the sausages, the racing
It's
sausages.
of course, yes, of
Yeah.
course, the
Um,
Dane Cook sausage from this
the
week.
Dane Cook sausage, yes. But the I just don't know what to say with the Cubs. Like they win 10 in a row and then they lose 8 in a row. I just it worries me very
I don't know if
much.
I've ever seen like at least this early in a season like a team be so dominant and then
Yeah.
so submissive. You know what I mean?
Right. And and like okay, I think Craig Counsell knows baseball. I think he knows the strategy of the game well. That being said, what I say I mean, it's hard to say because I'm not in the clubhouse, right? I have no idea. Would I say he's the best leader? That's debatable to
Who
me.
knows?
He comes across as a very boring human being from a personality standpoint. Like, I'm not saying you got to be like, all over the place, ripping your shirt off. I mean, I know it works for
No,
Ben
but you think
Johnson,
of the
but like,
last few Cubs managers like David Ross. You had a really great personality. Joe Madden, of course, had a very unique and outgoing personality. Like even speaking from experience as a Sox fan, like Rick Renteria, like you know,
yeah.
he had a personality and was fiery in the clubhouse and all that. Like, so yeah, I think you're right because Council. I mean, I've listened to some of his like press conferences and like, clearly I know the man cares, but like it just looks like he's tired all the time or something.
Right, right. And maybe it's the pressure of being in a bigger market. Maybe it's I don't
Contract,
know. What? His
the
contract? Yeah,
contract.
the expectations of his contract. But if depending on how this season goes, if the Cubs don't make the playoffs, let's say they do so poorly that they just don't make the playoffs at all. I think they have to consider letting go of Craig Counsell
Now
at
this
some
is
point.
his second year.
His
for
second
sure.
year. Yeah,
That's
and
a
I think
lot
he's
of
got like
money.
a 5-year deal.
3
Yeah.
years left.
Yeah, I know. I know. And I hope it doesn't come to that. But like this guy was supposed to be like the next Joe Madden, and it is not panning out in certain ways.
It's yeah, I mean it's amazing that you say it, but you're not the only one I've heard say that. I've seen that all over,
Yeah.
Twitter and Reddit and
And
all
again,
that.
I hope I'm wrong. I
And
hope
it's
the Cubs
because
turn
it's not
this
just that they're
around.
playing poorly; it's that he is making some very poor decisions. He's getting
Yeah.
starters into, too late and making questionable moves to the bullpen. Like it's
Mhm.
not just it's not just that the vibes are bad; it's that there are moves of his that are, you cannot defend.
Right, exactly. And when you get to that point, it's like he's making some questionable moves. We're not winning, like you can be the mad scientist, the Joe Madden when you're winning. And the Cubs have won at times, but they're not winning at the moment. And I mean, they just have a lot going on. They're getting some people back. I know Caleb Thielbar returned this week. Then they lost Edward Cabrera to a blister on his throwing finger, or on a finger on his throwing hand. They did bring up Kevin Alcantara and Pedro Ramirez this week, two exciting young prospects, just as reinforcements, basically. They lost Matt Shaw. He is on the injured list now. I think they designated someone else for assignment. I think they're scrambling at this point. Just something to get this team going. Kevin Alcantara has looked great in the minors this year. I think he is worth a shot. I think he's likely going to be a starting corner outfielder next season for either Ian Happ or Seiya Suzuki. I think he's right there. He's ready to go. And I don't see them re-signing both of them. Hell, they may not re-sign either of them
Right.
at this rate. I think this Cubs team could look fairly different next season. I think they've tried with this core for a bit, and they haven't really won anything. They're getting to the point I think where they need to shake it up a little bit. Dansby Swanson is currently hitting below 200. No starting pitcher right now has an ERA below 4.
Wow.
Yeah. Uh, it's crazy that like this team has already had two 10-game winning streaks when you consider all of the negatives, all of the injuries and everything. It is kind of amazing that they've held water as well as they have.
Well, they always say baseball evens itself out, like so maybe this is just them, like playing, what they were always meant to play. Who knows? Because yeah, they have had a lot of injuries and they have had people struggling. And I mean, yeah, I mean, starting pitchers are. I mean, if nobody has an ERA below 4, that's not good. That's not a
That's
winning
that's
team.
not good. Yeah, that's not good. This week they have a couple divisional matchups coming up. They will be on the road in Pittsburgh and then in St. Louis, take on the Pirates and the Cardinals. I would say those are two pretty big series. Obviously, anytime you're playing in the division and the division is as close as it is, these are big games. They need to right the ship here this week and hopefully notch some W's. The Cubs, I feel like, at least in this century, have always kind of dominated in Pittsburgh. I feel like that's somewhere they just always seem to win. I don't know the pitching matchups. I'm not sure if they're going to be facing Paul Skeens or not. And then obviously going to St. Louis to play the rival St. Louis Cardinals, who have performed above expectations so far this season, when it looked like they were going to be in rebuilding mode. But it doesn't seem to be going that way, as they have come out of the gate strong here within the first month, 2 months of the season.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But obviously, the things have changed quite a bit on the north side in the past week. So hopefully the Cubs can right the ship here soon. But that'll do it for our report on the Cubs this week and our discussion on them. So now, Matthew, I will turn it over to you to discuss the around 500 Chicago White Sox.
I think they're not just around 500. They are now, with today's loss, today being Sunday, they are once again at 500. So, after last week, after all the momentum going, after the Cubs series, I was really hoping that we would take advantage. That being said, they've been on the West Coast a lot. This is actually, I mean, it's the middle of May, and this is the final West Coast trip that they had for the whole season. So honestly, I know they are happy to be out of the West Coast, and I am happy to not have to stay up super late anymore to watch their games. Um,
Those
you
West
know,
Coast games are brutal.
Friday night's game against the Giants started at 9:15 p.m.
Oh my God.
Um,
Yeah.
and I watched it, and it was the only one that they ended up losing that one. But so they lose the series against the Mariners. And I don't know if you saw any of this, but there was some really weird umpiring in that series.
Oh,
And
really?
and a couple calls, of course, were, I think were correct, but there were like a couple like obstruction calls and just some like really weird stuff that like first of all, thank God for ABS,
Yeah.
because I think it would have been even worse. And thank God for replay and all that. But like, they were the victim of some very strange umpiring decisions. Will Venable actually got his first ejection of the year during that series,
Mm.
because of how it was like there was there was a runner from the Mariners going around, around second on his way to third, and he ran into, I think it was Sam and Antonacci. And Antonacci probably was standing a little too close to the baseline. So like the obstruction call was correct, but they let the runner score as opposed to him just going to third. And that was what I think Will Venable was arguing.
Yeah.
And it was just, there was a few moments like that. So like the baseball gods were working against the White Sox this series. So they did win. They did manage to squeeze one win, and then they went to San Francisco. And the only game they won in that series was the game that they scored 9 runs in one inning, which was not only their only runs of that game, their only hits of those games. They scored 9 runs off 5 hits.
Wow.
It started with actually 2 hit batsmen. Sam Antonacci got hit twice in the same inning. He is only
Huh.
the 11th major league player to have happen to him.
I was gonna say, I feel like that's a real rarity.
Yeah, that was insane. Sadly, Eric Fetty and Noah Schultz are struggling at the moment. Fetty, they actually tried to navigate around him a little bit, because if you remember the Cubs game in his last few starts as well, he has a really bad first inning and then he settles in a little bit. So they actually did give him an opener, and the opener did great, and then Fetty came in and still then struggled. So I am not sure if his days are numbered. The only reason they wouldn't be is because the Sox don't really have anybody to take over for him at the moment. Like Shane Smith is still struggling in AAA. Hagen Smith, who was supposed to kind of be that top prospect to watch this year to join the rotation, he's really struggling right now. So there's not a ton of options right now. Jordan Leisure was called back up and immediately blew the game the other day. Like, so there's the flaws are starting to creep out a little bit.
Hmm.
Luckily, Chase Meredith had a really good road trip. Murakami has not homered since the Cubs series. That being said, he actually had a really good road trip, including a really big bases clearing double. So it's actually really encouraging that he's finding ways to hit and score without just hitting the ball out of the ballpark. I think you have to do that to be an all-around great major league player. Otherwise, you're going to be Joey Gallows, the Adam Dunns of the world,
Right.
and you don't really want that. Miguel Vargas continues to score a lot of runs. He did sadly have some very unfortunate missed plays on a couple pop ups in yesterday's game, and like he wasn't wearing sunglasses. He lost 2 balls in the sun. Wear some goddamn sunglasses, Miguel. Like the
I
hell,
don't get why guys do that. I like just wear sunglasses.
you're playing during the day in California. Come on, man.
Right.
Um, So sadly the Sox only won 2 games on this road trip. Next week we are going to be hosting. It's kind of a big one. Hosting the Twins and Tigers. The Tigers are like falling apart right now. So I'm hoping that they continue to fall apart. And the Twins are. It's always good to try to beat them, especially at home.
I'm just gonna say it, by the way. I bet Tarek Skubal gets traded, and I feel like it's gonna be the Dodgers, and we're all gonna hate life again.
I feel okay. Number one, I feel like he is going to get traded.
Yeah.
Number two is if it is the Dodgers, the entire baseball world will like I don't even know what will happen. I feel like, and it's funny because like the collective bargaining agreement stuff is coming up, and
Mhm.
like this is different because they're not like paying for a player. It's just like there has to be a limit. I feel like when
Right.
Kyle Tucker signed with them over the offseason, that like got a lot of people mad, and this would also get people mad. So number one, okay, I hope the Tigers. I hope he can stay with his hometown team. I agree with you though. If they're falling out of contention and they are really quickly, it's going to happen. But
Yeah.
oh man, go trade him
And
to
they're
the
not gonna pay,
Rays.
they're not gonna pay him. That's what it
Go
comes down to.
get him to the Rays or something. Did you see that report that the Angels turned down a Shohei Ohtani trade his last year, and it was to the Rays? I think it was for I forget who the return player said.
Junior Caminero.
Yeah, former Cub, right?
Yeah. Junior
Um,
Caminero? No.
no, I'm thinking of someone else then. But yes, it was
Christopher Morale, yeah.
um and like imagine show even for half a season, imagine Shohei Ohtani on the Rays. Like, it would have been kind of fun, kind of like thinking of CC Sabathia on the Brewers type thing.
Right.
So if he can go to not the Dodgers, I think that would be great. But I'm not holding my breath. Right before we started recording, there was a report that just came out that a Sox prospect, the name of, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, Riku Nishida, is being called up. He is a second baseman and outfielder. Very, very contact friendly, not a lot of power. The first thing I saw that someone described him as was a good version of Nick Madrigal. So probably what Nick Madrigal was supposed to be when he was drafted fourth overall, which I cannot believe that happened. Um, so kind of like you said with the Cubs, I think the Sox are going to just try to make some things happen right now. I don't know
Mm.
who's getting sent down. If it is Acuna, who has been just a black hole for the White Sox this season, that would be kind of crazy. He was the main return for Luis Robert Jr. He is out of options, so he would have to go through waivers. And so we'll see. That's just speculation. It might not be him. It might be someone else. But he
Has he
should
really
not.
been that bad?
He's been really bad.
Oh, damn.
He plays pretty good defense. He plays shortstop. He can play some outfield. He cannot hit right now, and he needs
Mm.
to be in the minor leagues. But because he is out of options, they have stuck with him at least so far. So
Damn.
we'll see. But anyway,
Yeah.
hoping for a better week for the White Sox. Would love to finish next week above 500. Because the AL Central and the AL itself is so bad, the Sox are still like in the second wild card spot right now and only a couple games out of first place. So, so
At this rate, there's gonna be a bad team or two in the
I
playoffs
think the
for the
number
American League.
three wild card is the Twins, and they're under 500. So,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
it's if the playoffs end today, there would be. So, well, we're gonna hope for a better week, but that is it for the South Side.
Very good. Very good. All right. Well, thank you for that. Exciting things going on at 35th and Shields. So at this point, we will turn our attention to MLB as a whole. Not the busiest week, I feel like. There wasn't a whole lot of major stuff going on, but a few things to make note of. Dylan Cease and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. left their game earlier today, as of this recording, for the Blue Jays. It sounds like they've avoided anything serious. It is. I know it was an elbow for Cease. I'm not exactly sure. Oh, Vlad Jr. got hit by a pitch. That's what it was. Um, but those would obviously be two very big losses if they do happen to go onto the IL. The Blue Jays have been decimated by
You
injuries
know
so
if
far
it's
this
Cease's
season.
pitching elbow?
I think it was. Yeah.
Ooh,
I don't know.
let's hope for the best there.
Yeah.
Elbows are always a very, very risky thing.
Oh, of course, yeah. And I thought I saw something saying that they think they dodge serious injuries at the moment. So hopefully that holds true and they're not out too long with those. Um, Saw an old name come across the wire this week as the Atlanta Braves selected the contract of former Cleveland Guardians starting pitcher Carlos Carrasco from the Gwinnett Stripers.
How old is he now? Do you
He's
know?
got to be upper 30s.
Like that
I
is, I mean, he was a staple for that team for a long time.
yeah.
I'm gonna just take a quick look here for a sec. I mean, it's kind of fun when that happens, right? Like
Yeah,
it's,
I mean, I think it's always fun when you see these guys who like they get a last chance with like a completely random team.
oh, he is 39 years old.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That
Yeah.
sounds right.
So good for him though. I mean, like, as much as I hated some of those Cleveland teams, back in the day as a
Hmm.
Sox fan, like it's, yeah, man, go for it. One more shot and on a contending team, no less, like the Braves. So
Yeah, exactly. No, it's good for him. Good to see his name pop up. So we'll see how he does with this probably final chance, I would say, with the Atlanta Braves for Carlos Carrasco. On to stadium development matters. Hillsborough County and the city of Tampa have approved a non-binding deal for a new, again, Rays ballpark proposal. Stop me if you've heard this before. It will be located near the Tampa Bay Buccaneers of the NFL, their stadium, Raymond James, and right near Steinbrenner Field, where the Yankees have spring training and where the Rays play their season in 2025 due to the damages by Hurricane Milton to Tropicana Field. It was approved in a 5-2 vote on Wednesday to approve a non-binding memorandum of understanding between the Rays and the county on a proposal for a $2.3 billion stadium on the site of Hillsborough College's Dale Mabry campus. So exciting news for the Rays. They have been chasing a new stadium for, God, it feels like as long as I can remember at this
well,
point.
forever, and I'm happy to see it's in the location it's in
Yeah.
because their last new stadium deal before Tropicana Field was damaged was going to be like right near Tropicana Field, and if you talk to
Hmm.
any Rays fan, the issue with the team attendance is 100% have to do with the location because
Yeah.
I've never I've been to Tampa, but I've never tried to go to a Rays game. Apparently, to get to St. Petersburg in that location, there's like this long bridge or something, and it just gets jam packed, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a pain to get to these
It
games.
is. I've been to a
And
Rays
so,
game.
yeah, so
Yeah.
when the last stadium was going to be like right near Tropicana Field, a lot of Rays fans were like, "This doesn't solve our issues. Like, it's going to be a nice ballpark, but you're going to have the same issue." So the fact that they were able to move it to the actual city of Tampa, near the Buccaneers, near other things, that is great news for the Rays and Rays fans.
Yeah, definitely. And they need to get this done because it's been a long time. MLB has said they won't expand until the A's and the Rays have their stadium situations figured out. The A's have theirs figured out. Now it's time for the Rays to get it done. So hopefully MLB can expand to 32 teams and we can all move on with our lives,
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah.
The Trop is it's unique. It feels like an late 80s, early 90s shopping mall with a baseball field in it.
I watched a couple like walkthrough videos, and like I've never been to the Trop, but I was at the Metrodome before it was torn down, and
Okay.
that it feels, and which I think I told you, like, and it's not just me as a Sox fan not liking the Twins. That was the worst Major League Baseball experience of my life.
Yeah.
It did not feel like watching a baseball game.
Yeah.
Uh, and luckily, the Twins have a beautiful new ballpark now, and I'm hoping the Rays will have that as well.
Yep, yep, absolutely. No, it's great to see. We're happy to report that. And then a couple injury activations on the wire this week. Jackson Holliday returns for the Baltimore Orioles, a star prospect, son of former Rockies and Cardinals outfielder Matt Holliday. He has been out. I think he's been out all season so far to start the
I think
season. I
so.
don't think he's played yet. So he is back on the Baltimore Orioles active roster. And then former Cub Patrick Wisdom has been activated from the 10-day IL for the Seattle Mariners. So he'll
He
be
played
returning for
against the
them as
Sox,
well.
so that happened earlier this week.
Yeah.
I think he had a couple key at bats. So I sorry, I kind of wish he stayed on the IL a little bit longer, but good to see him back, I suppose.
Yes, yes. It's good to see him back on the field and back in MLB. I know he was playing in Korea, I believe, for a while. But he's had a very roundabout career for Patrick Wisdom, but he seems like a really good dude. So I'm happy
Yeah.
for him. See him.
Speaking of old friends, and it's someone we've talked about a number of times this year because you were hoping the Cubs would sign it, but I saw Lucas Giolito had 5 scoreless innings pitched yesterday, and boy, both of our teams could have really used that.
The Cubs are
And
stupid. I don't know why they didn't
Padres
sign him.
got him for cheap, and he is paying dividends right now.
Yeah, he could have been in Cubby Blue and it would have worked out just fine. But no, we can't do that because we can't sign anybody apparently. I don't understand. I don't understand. Whatever. All right, I'm not that mad. On that
Good.
note, yeah, yeah. On that note, we'll move on to our baseball at the movies segment this week, and we have a great movie to look at. It is the 2002 Disney classic. Yeah, it's Disney. Uh, the Rookie. And no, this is not the TV show that is on currently. This is a movie. So, The Rookie, released in 2002, stars Dennis Quaid as Jimmy Morris, Rachel Griffiths as Lori Morris, Angus T. Jones as Hunter Morris, and Brian Cox as Jim Morris Sr. A true story about a coach who discovers that it's never too late for dreams to come true. Jim Morris, Dennis Quaid, never made it out of the minor leagues before a shoulder injury ended his pitching career 12 years ago. Now a married with children high school chemistry teacher and baseball coach in Texas, Jim's team makes a deal with him. If they win the district championship, Jim will try out with a major league organization. That is the summary of the movie. Really enjoy this one. I think it's just a good storyline, and because it's like actually a true story, I think it's pretty cool too. But Matthew, give us your thoughts on
Yeah,
this.
I hadn't seen this in a few years, but I watched this a lot when I was younger. I really, really enjoyed it. I think it's a really well-made film. It's a Disney film, so it has kind of that like corniness about it, but I don't think it's like too much. It kind of like tonally, it kind of reminded me of the movie Holes, also released by Disney around the same time. Like it like
Mm,
kind of just felt like that. The director John Lee Hancock he went on to make a couple decent movies. He went on to make The Blind Side, which like is a well-made movie, even though now we unfortunately know that story is kind of BS. Um,
mm.
but it's kind of like a similar type of movie. He also went on to make Saving Mr. Banks, which is a really underrated Disney movie, and then he made one of my personal favorites from the last decade, The Founder, the McDonald's Ray Kroc story. So
Yep,
like
that's a good movie.
he's a talented director. So I enjoyed watching his work here again. Um, I think number one, I was feeling really, really old because Jim Moore is supposed to be 35, and that's our age. It made me feel really, really happy to discover that Dennis Quaid was actually 47 in
Yeah,
this movie because I'm like, we don't look like that, Kevin.
right,
Like,
right. We don't look that old yet.
like we can't. Although then I did look up the actual footage of Jim Morris pitching, and like he also doesn't look 35. He does look closer to like 47.
Yeah.
Um, and it's probably his mustache and everything, but like it made me kind of freak out for a second. I was like, there's no way Dennis Quaid is 35 in this movie. And he wasn't, thankfully. Really great performances. Dennis Quaid is you can tell his like drive and ambition. You can tell that he loves his son. You kind of he kind of forgets about his other two kids a little bit, but it's fine. The
Yeah.
the the son from Two and a Half Men is kind of the main thing. I like the relationship with his dad a lot. The very troubled, strained relationship. It made the ending kind of feel little more powerful. And of course, Brian Cox, who would go on to he's now an A-list actor. Uh,
Yeah.
like he brings a lot to that pretty small role. Um, no, I think it's really well made. I think it spends, in my opinion, it spends a little too much time on the high school baseball storyline. I would have rather it that speed up just a little bit and spend more time in the minor leagues with him because that does
Yeah.
move pretty quick. He like that we have this big montage of the high school baseball. Then we like follow that last high school baseball game for a while. And then
Hmm.
all of a sudden it's like, okay, he tries out, he gets in, and then he's in double A, and then like super quick montage, and then he's in triple A. And it's very quick. I would have liked more time spent on the actual professional baseball stuff because I think
They
it kind of
probably could have cut like the stuff about like the grass and not being able to grow,
yeah,
you
I
know?
and like
Yeah.
it's about like making your dreams come true and all that, and that's a big theme of the movie and all that. But yes, I agree with that. I would have rather spent more time, with him as a 35-year-old in double A baseball. You know what I mean? That's a very
Right.
interesting story.
Right.
Um, and it's boy, it really, I mean, when he enters the game in the end, it gets you. I mean, that is a
Yeah.
good moment. The music is swelling. I do like that they had to use the uh up to date like 2002 Devil Rays uniforms because they did film during an actual game at
Uh-huh.
Arlington Stadium. So like because then when you watch the actual Jim Morris pitch, they're wearing like those like cool like original Devil Rays uniforms that they ditched a couple years. But yeah, man, it was a good movie. I really liked it. I watched it with my wife. She had never seen it. She really liked it. Her biggest complaints were that like his wife character was just kind of like a nothing character. Like the Lori was just kind of a nothing character.
Uh-huh.
It's not. It like wasn't about her at all. Like, yeah, let's leave her with three small children while you go like make $200 a week playing minor league baseball. Uh,
Yeah.
outside of a couple lines, but it's fine. And actually, I don't know if you saw on their Wikipedia page the one big thing that this movie omitted or like made up for Hollywood was that in real life their marriage was not great. In fact, they were going through divorce proceedings while he was with Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And
They divorced like around the or no, he got remarried around the time this movie came out.
yeah, so
Yeah.
and you can see why it kind of in this movie a little bit, but
Yeah, it's like, oh, that makes sense.
yeah. Um, my wife was like, "You wouldn't do this to me, would you?" I was like, "Well, I'm not going to be a Major League Baseball player at 35, but no, I wouldn't do it to you anyway."
Yeah.
No, really, really solid. I'm really happy we got to rewatch this. It's a solid. It's a 4.25 Italian beefs out of 5. It's not going to be like it's not the greatest baseball movie ever made, so I can't give it a 5, but it's definitely
Hmm.
above average.
Yeah.
It's a good time. It's a good story centered around baseball.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think it's captivating. I think it's heartfelt. It it touches on some things that I think a lot of people can relate to. Strained relationships with a parent, and and redemption and wanting to chase that dream. It is a great movie. I think. It tells the story well, and I do agree with you that they spent a little too much time on like the high school team and not nearly enough on like how he made it to the majors at 35. But I would say like that's like a minor thing in this grand scheme of the movie.
Mhm.
Um, in terms of what I would rate it. I think I'd give it like about 4 Italian beefs. It was good. It is a little corny at certain times. Um, and uh, I think it relies on some very typical Disney tropes in some of their movies. But it's a good movie. It's a good movie, and
The whole backstory, like the way the movie opens and ends,
yeah,
like the nuns finding the blessing the grass and all that, like that's what reminded me of like Holes a little
yeah,
bit, of like
uh,
carry him up the mountain type
yeah.
thing.
It is kind of like that. So I get what you're saying, how they were made in like kind of the same vein. But no, it's solid. I think Dennis Quaid has a really great performance. I think the kid definitely like gives you that emotional attachment too. And yeah, like the relationship with his father is something that I really think helps kind of carry the story a little bit.
Yeah, and boy, I mean, honestly, when Brian Cox shows up at the end and he's like, "Wasn't
Mm.
this in this one?" Like,
Yep,
that's a
yep.
good moment.
Same. That was like, oh God, right in the feels. Right in the
That's a good
feels.
moment right there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would agree with your 4 rating. I give it a little bit more just based on pure nostalgia, but like, yeah, it is a solid movie. It is corny. It is above average. It is not without its faults, but like, it's a good movie. It's there's another podcast I listen to, and they always with about films, and they always have a category of like, would this work better as like a prestige TV series? And
Hmm.
like, this is one of those movies that I think would, because it would let it play out a little longer. Imagine like the first few episodes are like maybe backstory for him, then the high school stuff, and then he gets the tryout, and then he gets to double A and triple. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
all kind of.
That is what I would say. I would love to see more of like, okay, like what happened to him? How did he end up as a high school baseball coach?
Yeah.
Why didn't he get a shot in the majors? Because apparently he was supposed to at one
Well, he
point,
was
and
drafted pretty. I don't remember how high he was drafted, but he was drafted and played,
mhm.
I think, single A. So like, he had a shot. And
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
a miracle that his arm. I mean, I think the scout says to him in the movies, like one of the main rules about scouting I know is that arms get slower with age,
Hmm.
and his got faster.
Right.
It's kind of amazing. So I would honestly like remake this whole story into a 10 to 13 episode miniseries
Yeah.
and expand on it, because I think it's a great story that unfortunately feels a little rushed in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree. It's crazy that the ballpark in Arlington is like no longer used. Isn't
Is
insane?
it's still sitting there, right?
Yeah, it's a football stadium now.
I understand why they needed a new ballpark, because apparently
Uh,
the summers got brutally hot.
yeah.
Uh, it's a shame that their new ballpark has no charm whatsoever.
No. It's too modern.
I remember watching the 2020 World Series, and like, it's like they're playing in a warehouse.
Yeah. It
and
looks like an
and like
airplane hangar.
and unfortunately, yeah, and like, and unfortunately, like, and I understand why ballpark in Arlington needed to be replaced because of the heat, but like, that was a beautiful looking ballpark. and
Hmm.
and I know you want to talk about, because there's that scene in this movie where uh Jim and the other player are dropped off in front of ballpark in Arlington, and they walk through, and it's like majestic and magical and so unrealistic, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they would
That's
be
not the way
dropped
they
off
go.
they would be dropped off at the player's entrance, and so all we would be seeing is like a little hallway.
Right, exactly. They definitely did that for creative license.
Yeah, and you know what? It was effective, because up until
Yeah.
that point, we'd seen the crummy high school stadium, the little minor league stadiums, and this was the first time we were seeing like this grand cathedral of baseball.
Right. Right.
So it was good.
I will say, like, I was impressed with the architecture of it. Like it's a nice ballpark, but yeah, no roof in the middle of Dallas, Texas, Arlington,
Yeah, it's
Texas.
not wasn't a good decision, and I unfortunately, yeah, maybe they can do some renovations in the new ballpark to make it a little more charming at some point, but
Yeah.
I'm sure their fans are happy that they don't need to sit out in that heat.
I was gonna say I'd be more grateful for that for sure.
I would too.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was the rookie on this week's Baseball at the Movies segment. Next week, we will be taking a look at the Robert Redford classic, The Natural, on our Baseball at the Movies segment. One that both of us have not seen too often. We've both seen it, but we haven't watched it as consistently as some of these other ones we've done so far.
For me, the
So
soundtrack is more famous than the movie, I feel like. So I'm looking
mhm.
forward to watching the movie again.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah. So stay tuned for that for on next week's episode. But with that, that will do it for this week's episode of the Crosstown Baseball Podcast. We greatly appreciate all of you tuning in. As always, make sure to give us a follow, like, subscribe on YouTube and Spotify, and then give us a follow on Facebook and Instagram at Crosstown Baseball Podcast. We greatly appreciate all of the support, and we will look forward to revisiting our favorite baseball teams here again next week. Matthew, any final words for our listening audience?
No, it's always been a pleasure. I'm sorry the Sox broke the Cubs.
Oh, I guess we appreciate that apology. So, on that note, that'll do it for this week's episode. Thanks again for tuning in. And as always, go Cubs.
Go Sox.